Hello, today is December 12th, which makes it today's December 14th, and that makes it just day 72. Well, it's still crazy that after 72 days of this, I can't seem to count correctly. Today was like starting the work week, and I had that I felt like I had a successful week eating pastries last week and having good experience and not having a ton of anxiety around leftover pastries and finding good boundaries about putting them in the break room and talking with coworkers who are having a similar struggle and finding a lot of support in that and positive vulnerability. And this week it was kind of like, okay, well, was that a fluke or can we sustain it? And I had said that I would commit to eating pastry when I was working on shift so that it would take away the anxiety of whether or not I would be eating a pastry. And so far it's helpful. Someone had brought in blueberry muffins, and I was working with someone who also has an eating disorder and is in recovery. And because we talked about it and we shared there's like an immediate sense of just like comfort and understanding when someone comes in and says they've got pastries. And then later on in the shift, someone brought vegan donuts in, and you can understand it can be really hard when it's your trigger food and it's all around you by the nature of your work. And it really, like, having someone in a sport, even when you don't need to talk about it, was really good. And it's a healthy way of like, all right, we're going to choose to eat these things. We're going to choose them in a positive way. There's no shame around it. There's, like the spontaneous eating. And so all of it was relatively positive, or it was positive. And I was proud of how I managed it and my eating. So I hope to do the same. I have shifts till Thursday and the next 3 days. So I'm feeling encouraged. I took time to have my pastry and drink water and go on a quick walk and journal about it, and continues to do those things even when they're not hard. Just the absence of anxiety, because it's an absence of something, not an addition of something, can be hard to value. But it is nice to have these videos to pause and be like, I didn't have to deal with intense anxiety today. I didn't have to deal with the manic-y episode, and that's just nice. Tonight I have a support group with my old outpatient recovery program. It's been really nice to stay in contact with them and to be able to reach out and have that as a resource. It does make a difference. It does, again, help you feel like you're not alone and keep me accountable for my own recovery. I've been just thinking through, like, as nearing the end of these 90 days, it's like, what do I want to do next? Like, has been really helpful, and how do I continue to process and make peace and choose a life of recovery and advocating for myself, and what does that look like for me? So I've been trying to process and spend some time thinking through that. And really, one thing that struck me is, like, what is my recovery philosophy? Do I feel like recovery is something lifelong? Do you always struggle with an eating disorder? Will these problems always kind of haunt you and be a part of me? And so I felt like I was finally in a good space to really start writing some of these things down and to process like, what do I think is important in an eating disorder philosophy? What do I think are cornerstones of positive recovery? What has actually really worked for me? And so I was thinking through how eating has been a really important thing in my recovery. Just eating 3 meals a day and snacks, and processing and sharing with people. We called it talk therapy and group therapy. Has been really important. And then movement therapy, and thinking about exercise not as caloric burn but as positive movement that both helps my mind, body, and soul, and coming to terms with how to find health in movement and the outside in that, like movement outside and taking meditative time outside is really helpful. So I'm looking forward. I hope by the time I'm done with these 90 days, I also have a bit of a philosophy that will help guide me through my life.